Hi, everybody, and welcome to From the Desk of Blake James. I'm Jon Meterparel. It's great to have you with us. Blake, good to see you. What's going on?
It's been a busy month of February, but good to see you again.
Yeah, I hope you've escaped the snow a little bit.
You know, I was in Dallas last week with our two basketball programs, and I was, I guess, down in Florida for maybe the first day of February. So, yes, I got into Florida for one day. We had ACC meetings in Charlotte, Dallas, so I did get a little bit nicer weather, but surprisingly, it was cold in Dallas one of the days I was there, and cold in Charlotte. So good to be here in Boston.
Yes, it is, and we will talk first about the basketball programs. Men's basketball coming off a big win over Wake Forest, tip-in by Aiden Shaw at the buzzer. They've had those types of games this year where there's been moments where you say, all right, they're an uplifting moment. Can they build on this momentum? And sometimes it backtracks. So hopefully, as they move into the last stage of the schedule and they try to make the ACC tournament, they can build around the Wake Forest win.
Yeah, no, it's an exciting game. And again, you've seen that. You've seen that all year. I mean, the guys play hard, and as you touched on, unfortunately, we just haven't gotten enough of them to go our way. But it's a team that goes out there and they battle every night. This game, in some ways, was somewhat of a microcosm of the season. The only difference was, fortunately, we were able to get that tip in there at the end and get the win, because I think a lot of our games have been close like that, and we just haven't come out on the right side of it. So it's going to be an interesting run. They're at Miami on Saturday. Miami's got a good team going, and anytime it's tough to win on the road. And then I think one of the toughest places in the conference, and put anyone out there, whether it's Duke or whatever, Virginia Tech is just a tough place to play.
Yep. And
that's where they're at next week. But then close here with a really big game against Notre Dame, because if you look at it right now, John, if everyone plays to seed, and I guess, technically we're not seeded, but if you looked at everyone where they are, and so if you say, hey, we're supposed to lose to Miami because they're ahead of us, and we're supposed to lose to Virginia Tech, the Notre Dame BC game will be determining who's the final spot in Charlotte.
Wow.
And so I think it'll be a big game. Obviously, we always get a great crowd for Notre Dame, and we get great crowds on Saturday, just calling it for what it is, and appreciate the fan base for coming out and supporting. But that game, as it sits here today, it very well could be winner goes to Charlotte, loser goes home. And so it'll be a big game. And, again, like I said, I know our guys come out, every game and really battle. And so looking forward to watching them play, at Miami on Saturday. Virginia Tech on that following, I believe it's Tuesday night. And then a big one here on Saturday, March 7th, which is every indicator is that could be determining who's got the final spot in Charlotte for the ACC tournament.
Yeah, and I think it's always the classic, if anything can happen in March, you get to the Charlotte tournament, who knows? I mean, BC's a tough out. That's one thing I think Earl Grant's built throughout his tenure, and I know he's used that as a mantra, is we're a tough team to play.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, we haven't got the wins that we want, but I don't think any team that played us or any coach that looked at us didn't look at it as a team that was constantly fighting. And, those are things that, we got to continue to work on. Obviously, like I said, Wednesday night was great. We got the win. Hopefully we can build on Wednesday night and go down into Coral Gables and shock Miami tomorrow.
As far as the women's program goes, clearly a tough season with 5 wins, but they did come up with an upset over SMU. Your thoughts on where the program's headed?
Like you said, obviously it's a difficult season. I think if Joanna was sitting here with us, she'd say it's been a very disappointing season. You never go into a season looking to have 4 non-conference wins and 1 conference win. So, from that metric, it's hard to find a lot of positive. With that said, again, you look at last Thursday. At SMU, the team continues to fight. And so, again, we got to get to the point of wins. I guess if I'm going to, look for a positive in it, is the team doesn't give up. And, that's a credit to the young women that, put on the logo and go out in there and represent all of us. They're definitely working hard. There isn't any question about that. We just have to find a way to get more wins. We got one last Thursday. We didn't get one here. We closed at Syracuse. Nothing better than, being able to finish the season with a W, finish it in Syracuse. But it's one where I know our team will go out there and give it their best.
Do you feel like women's basketball in the country has gotten better every year?
Yeah, I think it has. And when you look at you've seen a greater emphasis on women's basketball, across the board. I think back to my days at Maine, and again they have a great women's program up in Maine, and so I don't want this to sound the right way, but Maine they were going out and beating a lot of these bigger programs because you didn't see the resources going into some of the SEC programs, some of the Big Ten programs, the ACC
Right.
programs. And now that's not the case. There's, rev share dollars. And again, we're doing that. We're participating in rev share. Our women's basketball program has rev share dollars. But it's one where you've just really seen as college athletics has evolved, the bigger players, the ones that are putting more in, are getting more talent. And then just in this country, I think he's just seen the talent continue to get better and better. And, that's just a credit to USA Basketball and all the different things that they're doing, from the very start in developing basketball players. But to answer your question, yeah, there's no doubt the skill level in basketball across the board is just continues to rise. And that's something where, we need to make sure we're taking the steps we need to continue to see our program elevate to a higher level, because again, we don't want to be at the bottom of the ACC. I want to see us in the ACC tournament and ultimately playing to be in the NCAA tournament.
Hockey has experienced a renaissance. Men's hockey wins the Beanpot, playing great hockey. Big weekend coming up against Boston University. Certainly a rallying point for the campus going into March. And it has to be something that you're looking at as tournament aspirations are large.
Oh yeah, and they should be. I mean, it should be an expectation. I think the team and Coach Brown start the year with that as an expectation. I think it's an expectation of all the fans. You touched on the Beanpot. What a great night that was. And honestly, John, we hadn't won it in my time here.
Yep.
And I didn't have, I guess, the appreciation for just how much it meant. I mean, it was amazing to me. As I said earlier, I was in Charlotte for ACC meetings, so I actually wasn't able to be here on that Monday night. And I'm walking through the Charlotte airport, and of course I have BC gear on, and people are coming to me like, "Hey, great win last night in the Beanpot." Obviously, the flight back to Boston, everyone on that flight was happy about it, and got a number of compliments there. But just it's something that had been gone for 10 years, and it's hard to realize that it had been 10 years. But you think back just a couple of years ago when we won Hockey East. It had been the first time we'd won it since 2012. And so just credit to Coach Brown and the guys. And now we're in another one of those times where every game matters. Tonight you have a BU team coming in here that hasn't had their season go the way I think they imagined it would go at the start. So what's going to be more satisfying them to come in here and, or I guess at their place tonight, tomorrow night, hit our place. So, but a home and home series between BU and BC, throw the records aside. It's going to be a war out there. And I know our guys are going to be looking forward to going out there and doing everything they can to get 3 points in the standings. And as importantly, and maybe more importantly, move us up, or at least keep us where we are in the MPI rankings, which ultimately determine who goes to the postseason for men's ice hockey.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. A lot of people look at it and say, "Oh, BC's ranked 12th or whatever." It's not necessarily. That's not how the ranking committee works. Like college basketball, there's a lot of formulas that are factored in.
Yeah, but I'll say, and so again, I have the opportunity to serve on the men's ice hockey committee right now. There's not a lot outside the rankings. So unlike the basketball committee, that is one. I mean, there's some minor adjustments that are made, but in hockey, it goes down to the MPI. And so as we move in that, it's critical that, we stay in the top 14 and 15 for sure, because you don't know where those other leagues are going to fall, because all 6 leagues get one automatic bid. Yep. So again, the way you assure it is win your conference. So the winner of the Hockey East Championship, at the Garden on that third weekend there in March, will get the automatic bid from Hockey East, and then it goes to who are those remaining teams left in the rankings, in the computer rankings, that really can be seeded in the tournament. And so if there's upset, so use BU as an example. Right now, if BU were to go in and win the hockey championship, it's a situation where that would move one team that thought they were in the tournament, out of it. It's just like when we see in basketball, when you see the bracket busters they talk about, where you get that team from the, the conference that
Big South.
Whoever it is
right.
that, wins that shot that wasn't in the NCAA tournament that gets that bid. It's the same thing in hockey. And so, we need to make sure that, over these next 4 games, the 2 with BU, UMass and Northeastern, we're doing everything we can to position ourselves as well as we can. Because as we sit here today, we're in the tournament, but you lose a few games and some things don't go the right way, you can be sitting on the outside looking in. And so that's why I know our guys will be, they'll be ready to go all 4 games. Obviously, no one needs to get them fired up to play BU. They're going to be fired up, to be down in Aganis tonight and here at Conti tomorrow night. Go out to UMass, Northeastern. But that's something that you have to constantly be looking at is, we need to make sure we're positioning ourselves not only in Hockey East, but more importantly, really the MPI rankings.
Yeah, no question about that. The women's hockey team, kind of an up and down year for them, but both programs, the Olympics, lightning rod moments for both programs. You have Megan Keller scoring the winning goal for the U.S. Olympic women's hockey team. Matt Boldy scoring an unbelievable goal for the men. Noah Hannafin, one of their better defensemen. So I think both BC hockey programs, no question, can benefit from that.
Oh, and great representation. Like you said, again, you go to the championship games for both the men and the women, and the U.S. scored 2 goals in each game, 1 in overtime in each game, and 1 were the goal that opened the scoring for the men, and in the women, the golden goal. And what a special moment for Boston College, and obviously Megan and all the women on the teams and on the guys on the men's team. So the representation we had, to have 6 of our former student athletes, 4 of our women, 2 of our men there, and have Megan get the golden goal and Matt to score the opening goal. Just what a great day for our country, for USA Hockey. Just was really special. But going back to the women's hockey, it's one where they finished 3rd in Hockey East. Obviously. You want to be at the top,
right.
But I think there was a lot of things. You had some incredible performances. Ava Thomas, who's a freshman for us, I'll say is as good a player as I've seen in the league, and clearly the best freshman, and is just really had a special year on that front. And they're hosting, and we got the first round of the Hockey East here Saturday, hosting Vermont, and so obviously encourage people to come out and cheer them on. The game time is 1:00 on Saturday, and it's a situation where, the winner advances to the semifinals, and, we want to see that team do that. And it's exciting for Katie and the team. I'm looking forward to watching them tomorrow.
Yeah, they gave it Thomas. If you haven't seen her play, she's definitely worth the price of admission. Another great moment for BC Athletics this week over at the New Balance facility, which is near and dear to your heart.
The track, at New Balance is, I'll say, probably the best place in the country and probably the world, for an indoor competition. So the ACC wants us to host the championship. So, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we'll have the ACC championships going on. I was there, as you said, last night. Imogen Gardner, Boston College, our women's team won the 5,000 meters. They had the DMR finals, so both the men and the women, I think, did well last night. I don't know if Coach Watson would say that or not, but I think the women were 3rd and the men 4th, and so right there in the mix, exciting races. Yesterday was day 1, so not a lot of finals, but we'll have a number of great performances over the next couple days, and hopefully we'll be bringing home a number of ACC championships. But we started with 1 last night, and so excited about that. But it's one where I think there isn't a better distance running city in the world than Boston.
Yep.
And I think you see that. You saw our cross-country team our women's cross-country team go to the national championships. We're continuing to grow it. It's a sport that I think that we can score well in. And so I'm excited to see what the men and women do over at the track this weekend and how we can perform. But again, just looking forward to watching it all, and, just really great competition. The ACC's got so many great track programs, and it's one that there'll be a lot of excitement. So for those that are interested in the sport of track, just encourage them to head over to the New Balance track. It's free admission and just really top level competition. Many of the young people running there are representing, whether it's our country or other countries in the Olympic Games. And so it's just, really first class in every aspect. And our event team does a great job of putting it on. And again, the people over at New Balance are just first class and world class in everything they do. And so it's just really a great environment and a special experience over there.
It's an incredible facility. It has to be one of the top 5 facilities in the country for.
Oh, for sure. Yeah,
track.
and like I said, maybe in the world. It's really just a credit to New Balance and just the first class organization that they are, and Jim and Ann Davis and their commitment to excellence and everything is special, and it's a blessing for us to call that home and for us to call them a partner. And so again, it's just really it's a great opportunity for our young people to go and show and be their best.
For those of you that support the BC Track program, maybe you'll take part in BC Giving Days, March 11th to the 12th, a vital aspect of the BC fundraising efforts. What does that mean for the athletic program?
Yeah, support your sport. It's across all 31 sports. So to track to every single one of our programs, really encourage them to give back. We want to continue to elevate how we operate as a program, and the institution is incredible in supporting us. I think sometimes that gets lost is just how much money the institution invests, but to do it at a level that, I think we need to be competitive in the ACC. And we've been working, each year, John, we've upped the budget in terms of how we operate as a program and elevated what it means to be a Boston College Eagle. But we can't stop. And not wanting to stop means we need help. And that's really what Support Your Sport is about helping us create the best experience possible for the young people who put the logo on and go out and represent all of us. David and Janet Griffith do a generous gift as a match. And so we have a lot of different competitions going on with the teams where they can get bonuses and all those different types of things. So just really encourage everyone to give to the sport that you have a passion for and participate in Support Your Sport. It's a critical time for our programs, because that support that we get through that day really elevates the experience and allows us to do some of the things that we need to do if we want to win, whether it's ACC championships, Hockey East championships, NCAA championships, or just create a better experience. All of those resources go into creating a better experience and elevating what it means to be a Boston College Eagle.
And you're elevating the football fan experience. There'll be some renovations to Alumni Stadium, premium seating. We've seen models of that on social media and BC sites. Looks like it's going to be an exciting time to be a BC football fan. Yeah,
again, a couple things. One, we want to better the experience. There's someone like me and probably you, we can go sit on steel bleachers and be fine and just cheer on the team.
Yep.
But I think as people get more and more used to a different experience, I mean, you look at what the Red Sox have done down at Fenway, you look at what the Patriots have done at Gillette, even what the Bruins and Celtics have done at the Garden. It's creating a better fan experience, and that's what we're looking to do. And that's this project, I'll say, is phase one. A couple summers ago, we sent out a survey, and the response that we got was incredible. And the feedback that we got is people wanted a better game day premium type experience. And so that opportunity is being created. Like I said earlier, this is phase one. I think we'll do more, but we wanted to, get started. And this allows us to get started. The response has been great. Obviously it's not a fit for everyone. It's going to cost more money. And I recognize it's not cheap to go to events. And when we move the prices up, that can create some real challenges. What I feel good about, John, is we still have opportunities in other parts of the stadium to create whatever experience it is that someone's budget is able to allow. Because we want everyone there. We want someone who's happy to spend 10x and someone who can't spend anywhere near that. But in both cases, they want to see the Boston College Eagles, and they want to cheer us on to victory. And so we're going to continue to keep a variety of different options there. We just were missing really the premium options, and so wanted to create some of those. And this is the first step in doing that. And like I said, overall the response has been great, and I'm excited to see it all happen next fall when we open here on Friday, September 11th against Rutgers in the red bandana game.
Yeah, what a night that will be. As we'll talk about that as that approaches. When you go to stadiums around the country, you and I travel every other Saturday. Do you find yourself looking at what SMU is doing, what Syracuse is doing, what Miami's doing? Do you feel like there's a formula there? I know some stadiums are bigger, some are smaller, but do you kind of pick and choose from those fan experiences?
Yeah, you have to always be looking at what are people doing to better the experience, and there's a variety of things. One of the things, and again, I'll say credit to them, because in my first year here, I think my first game, I just got inundated with emails about people not, having concessions issues and, not being able to get, water or whatever it is. And credit to our concessions partner. I think they've done a really good job of doing just, little portable setups where they're, selling water or whatever it is. And again, not to say that we don't still have lines and that we have to constantly be looking at it, but we are. And so my point being is you always got to be looking at what can we do to better the experience. And so some of it is you don't reinvent the wheel. You look at other places we go and what have they done and how is it working for them. And so it's having those conversations with the other athletic directors. It's our development people talking with, their development people, our marketing people talking, so it's everyone kind of sharing ideas. And, we talked about ACC meetings, just the importance of really looking out for what's best, what's really the best model out there, and then how does that apply to our situation, because everything isn't going to necessarily work for us that works at a school somewhere else, but there's probably some things that we can take, just like there's some things that we do that they may say, hey, that probably won't work in our market, but there's other things we do that they'll say, hey, that would work in our market as well. And so again, it's always looking at how do you better the situation, and some of it is you and I, we have the blessing to be out with the team and see what people are doing all around the country.
Yeah. No, certainly a big benefit there. Blake, a pleasure. Enjoy the weekend. Our next episode, we'll get into the spring sports with baseball on the horizon, playing well. Of course, women's lacrosse starting up, and a lot of good things to come on the BC athletic landscape.
Yeah, February is one of those months where you feel like you got everything going. The winter sports are getting towards the end of their seasons or winding down. We had the swim team just at ACC championships. I think it was last week they set 4 new school records. And so you have teams finishing, but then you have teams like you said, lacrosse and baseball and softball, all starting up. We got the indoor track that finishes, their ACCs, but then they'll be going to the outdoors. And so February is probably one of the busiest months for me. Again, November is probably another one, because you got the fall sports are finishing, but then the winter sports are really getting going. So yeah, March, we'll probably have a lot to talk about in March. And so, looking forward to that conversation with you. But, February's coming to a close here tomorrow. And, we're looking forward to pushing into March and continuing to elevate our programs and going out there and getting some wins.
No question. Blake, have a great weekend. Thanks so much.
Thank you, and go Eagles.
From the desk from Blake James, I'm Jon Meterparel. Thanks for joining us, everybody.